The end of 2023 is upon us. I hope you all had a great year and that 2024 will be even greater. In a little more than 24 hours, we will be watching fireworks and drinking champagne to ring in the new year. Which made me think, how does Middle-earth celebrate New Year? Are the halls of Durin filled with drunken laughter? Do the hobbits produce their own fireworks when Gandalf is not around? In this video, we'll take a look at the New Year's traditions of the races of Middle-earth. Let's start with the oldest race of them all. The elves celebrate New Year's, but not in the form that we are familiar with. The official beginning of the new year in the elven calendar takes place in the spring, not in the winter. We know that they celebrate the beginning of the new year with a spring festival, but we don't know any of the details. At the time of the events of The Lord of the Rings, the elves did not have a midwinter celebration or anything akin to Christmas or our own New Year's. But funnily enough, their ancient traditions were responsible for the New Year's celebrations by the Númenóreans and the men that came after. An important tradition in the celebration of Yule as we know it is the burning of the Yule log. During the height of the Númenórean power, the elves brought their traditions of midwinter celebrations over to the kingdom of men. This holiday includes games in the snow, drinking, songs and the traditional burning of the Yule log. And even though it seems that the elves stopped practicing their tradition of midwinter celebrations altogether, the tradition lives on in the race of men. And unlike the elves, who inspired much and more of the Númenórean traditions, the island kingdom adopted a calendar that celebrated its beginning of the new year in the midst of winter. After the fall of Númenor, the Dúnedain, who survived the onslaught, settled in Middle-earth and took their calendar and holiday traditions with them. Although the books make no further mention of New Year's celebrations by the Dúnedain, the Rohirrim are mentioned to celebrate Yule. Not much is told about their holiday traditions, except for the fact that the Rohirrim inherited the tradition of celebrating Yule from their northern brethren. And these Northmen used to have excellent bonds with their Dúnedain neighbors. So it may be that the tradition eventually carried all the way from the elves to all other races of Middle-earth. The Númenórean calendar eventually inspired the hobbits of the Shire, who adopted it mostly as their own. Which means that the hobbits too celebrate their new year in the midst of winter. The hobbits have a 6-day celebration around the end of the year, which they call Yuletide. In the calendar of the Shire, Old Year's Day and New Year's Day have a special place. They are separated from each of the regular months, with the last day of the year being called First Yule and always taking place on a Friday, and the first day of the new year being called Second Yule and always taking place on a Saturday. Although the celebrations of Yuletide take place over 6 days, Old Year's Day and New Year's Day are the major days for feasting and merriment. And it would be a feast for me if you would subscribe to the channel and leave a like for the algorithm. I'm trying to get to 1,000 subscribers and your help in achieving that goal is very much appreciated. That the hobbits like to eat and feast we already knew. If the holiday of Yuletide also contains the tradition of gift giving is still a mystery to us. But seeing that the hobbits do have this tradition on their birthdays, it might just be relevant for Yuletide as well. We see or hear about Yuletide from a hobbit perspective twice in the books. The first time is in The Hobbit, when Bilbo and Gandalf celebrate Yuletide at the house of the skin changer Björn, on their way back from the Lonely Mountain. The second time is at the end of The Return of the King, when the hobbits raid the stocks of their biggest town so they can feast after the war for Middle-earth has ended. I think it's no surprise that the hobbits celebrate a form of New Year's. They would jump on any opportunity to celebrate and feast. And I wouldn't expect any less from the mighty dwarves. But surprisingly little can be found about the holidays of the dwarves. Luckily for us, the only known dwarven holiday is their New Year's Day. But the dwarves call this day Durin's Day. The last day of the dwarven year is the last day of autumn. The first day of the new year is the first day of winter. Anyone who has read The Hobbit or seen the movies knows that Durin's Day plays quite a vital part in its story, as it's the only day on which the keyhole of the secret entrance into the Lonely Mountain can be seen. Unfortunately, we don't know anything about the celebrations that come with the Dwarven New Year. But knowing the dwarves and their appetites, it must be one hell of a party. To make it clear, it seems that for a lot of the folks of Middle-earth, the celebration of Yule is a mixture of our Christmas and New Year's celebrations. But there are some important distinctions, which I may touch on during next year's holiday season. For now, I want to thank you all from the bottom of my heart. 2023 was the year in which I really started making videos for my channel in earnest, and I am so thankful that almost 700 of you subscribe to my channel. Truly, thank you. I wish you all a great New Year's celebration and an amazing 2024. Thank you very much for watching. See you next year.